But a tzaddik is not going to struggle in the same way that a regular person is going to struggle. And somebody who literally didn't grow up religious is going to struggle in certain areas where someone who didn't grow up religious is not going to struggle. The struggle is actually the process which brings us closest to God, which is most precious to God. And that is the reason for why we're here. So the reason for why we came down is so we can have iskafia and ishapcha. And again, I'll say that there are some places in Chassidus that say that actually ishapcha, this transformation, means becoming a tzaddik. It means your animal soul no longer wants selfish things for its own purpose and sake, only for God. But we can have moments of that. And what I was saying is that I do think that for some people, if there's some area that a person really, really struggles, let's say something like smoking, okay? Which a person, now to say smoking is a sin, I'm not saying that. But let's say like a person knows it's not good for my health and I can't properly show up and serve God in this way, and I really want to stop smoking. And I want to not want to smoke anymore, not only just stop, that's kind of the process of trying to stop is like the iskafia, like I'm holding myself back from the cigarette, I'm holding myself back. They don't want to keep holding themselves back. They want to just not want it anymore. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that the idea that, ishapcha is impossible for anybody, it's not true. It is possible for somebody who used to crave cigarettes to actually even be disgusted by cigarettes now. Like somebody offers it to them and they're like, no, I don't want it. It's possible, right? It's not maybe so common, but it's possible. It's possible with certain foods. That maybe people grow up eating certain types of foods, and then they learned. I'm reading this book now, which is actually traumatizing me. It's called something ultra processed people. Anyone heard of this book? It's a new book. Ultra processed people, and it's about exactly how processed food is made, like all the way down to the details. It's like,
yeah, it's disgusting.
It's really, I'm like, and then my husband's like, stop going crazy, like we can't just throw out everything in our house, like no. But the more it is possible that something that you once absolutely loved becomes actually disgusting to you, right? And so ishapcha means that either in your whole life it becomes like this, which means becoming a tzaddik, or in a certain area, a certain thing that maybe you struggled with, that now it's just like, no, I care about my relationship with God so much that I don't even want this thing. Now, that is...
when you are learning about the processed food, like, are you thinking about what Hashem wants for you, or are you thinking about what you want for
so
yourself?
So that's what my husband said to me last night. He's like, Esther, you cannot turn this into an idol. That's what he told me. He's like, you can't. Because I was like, Hashem is in charge.
That's a real thing. People like have started to worship like health lifestyles.
Yep. And I relate to that. I used to be that when I was in high school. Like, absolutely. I was horrible. I used to like preach to everybody about, and then for years and years I haven't been like that.
This book, then.
I know. So it's been years. I really worked on my relationship with food for years. And now, but I'm reading this book and I'm having to remind myself to come back to that, of that, like, why and what's the purpose, and is it so that I can have eternal life? Because if I figure out how to eat the right thing, I could figure out for myself. Or is it so that I can work together with God to help him help me be healthy and keep my family healthy, right? And that's the difference. If you have God out of the picture, the moment God's out of the picture, you go into animal soul mode, which we've been talking about. You become very anxious. Like I noticed myself becoming that. Exactly. And I noticed myself becoming that and that. But then the moment you remind yourself, okay, wait, God's in charge, and like he's one who's going to take care of me, and I need to do my effort. It very much changes it. But it is possible to have this hapcha in certain areas. And sometimes we can even daven to Hashem, like there's a certain struggle, which just is such a struggle, which maybe every day we have to, now, Judaism is going to look like that every day to a certain extent. But maybe there's a certain area where like, God, just take this from me. Like, give me something else. I don't want this to be a struggle every day of my life. It's possible. It is possible that the more iskafia we do, it will lead to hapcha in that area. Yeah.
It seems like it is a higher level to be able to transform your animal soul to want the will of your godly soul, because that seems like a much greater like transformation than just like taming it. Like it seems like it is a higher level.
So there's two like levels of what we could call iskafia, and the Maimon was going to talk about this a lot. There's the iskafia that we're talking about, which isn't even called iskafia, which we said, I grew up religious, I never went to McDonald's, so like I passed McDonald's and I don't want it. Iskafia, the transformation. That's not actually a transformation, right? Because I never wanted it in the first place.
So like
versus
a
a
tzaddik
transformation.
who's born a tzaddik.
A tzaddik is born a tzaddik, or
someone who's
gifted being a tzaddik. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya that like if you work so hard at being a Beinoni for so much time and you pray to God, then maybe He'll gift to you the gift of becoming a tzaddik. But this is something that we can strive for without any expectation. Let's put it that way. And first, we need to be a Beinoni. So that's why even ishapcha, what I was talking about, because if you're born with it, it's not ishapcha. But if the ishapcha came as a result of the iskafia, you bend yourself and you bend yourself and you bend yourself and you worked on yourself and you worked on yourself. And one day you woke up and you're like, oh my gosh, I don't actually want that thing. Yes, that's a higher level. But what does that mean? You got to go to the next thing. You got to start working on the next thing. That's a struggle. It's not like that's it. You don't graduate from Avodat Hashem. You don't get like the certificate of like you did it, right? So in one area, you're like, okay, great. But it also says that a person can never trust themselves until the day that they die. And it brings the story of Yochanan Kohen Gadol. Familiar with the story? He was a Kohen Gadol for 80 years. And being a Kohen Gadol meant that you went into the Holy of Holies with, and survived, which was like for 80 years. And then there were questions came up about his lineage and about his things, and he got really mad and he became a tzedukah. He became somebody who didn't believe in God and who embraced like different ways of seeing Judaism. And so
he was the Kohen Gadol.
He was the Kohen Gadol for 80 years. And he was also a king, if I'm not mistaken. He was the father of, he was to do with the Maccabees, at the time of the Maccabees, who were also Kohanim, and then they also became kings. So he was also a king, and he was also a Kohen Gadol, and he was very, very righteous. And then something happened, and he stopped believing in God. And that story is brought to say, don't think that you can graduate from serving God. Don't think that like, okay, I did this hapcha in this area, check, I'm done. I could lay.
Did he step down from being a Kohen Gadol?
Well, he stepped down from everything. He became what's called a tzedukah. Like he didn't believe in the oral Torah, and yeah. So you're right, and this is going to be the conversation of this mimer, which is what's higher, a level of ishapcha or a feeling towards God that was given to us as a gift, or that was given to us by our parents because that's just how we were raised, or a feeling for God that we ourselves achieve through hard work, through first the bending and the work with our animal soul. The argument, as we're going to see, is going to be that second level is higher. And with that, should we read a little bit inside? Okay. Because I don't like to just read inside and say, Iskafia Sapcha, be like, this is what this means next, right? I want it to be that next time you encounter Iskafia Sapcha in Chassidus, you're like, oh, yeah, right? So that's maybe my excuse for staying so out of being inside. Okay, let's read inside a little bit and we'll continue with it tomorrow. So, page 7 at the top. The purpose for the descent of the godly soul into this physical world and into this physical body, Ukadei is in order, lavarer, to refine, nefesh abamit, the animal soul. Lihiyot bevachinas iskafia leishapcha. So the point that the animal soul should be bent, be tamed, reined in, leishapcha, and to be transformed. This is the goal. Bahainu, and this means, how is this possible? How is it possible for the godly soul to tame and transform the animal soul? Al yedei nefesh helokis. This is through the godly soul, hamistabeshet ba, who is one in the same body as the animal soul, who's expressing itself very often through the animal soul. Mitbonenet ba'Hashem echad, through it contemplating on the fact that God is one and God is relevant in everything and every place. And there's no thing or concept or place or decision that is devoid of Him. And when does he think of the Hashem Echad? In the Kriyat Shema. The time to really, the culmination of this work happens at the Kriyat Shema. We say Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. So this meditation of the fact that actually God is one and there's nothing other than Him in the Shema Yisrael. Now tomorrow we're going to talk about the idea that when we say V'yahavta et Hashem Elokecha, that you should love Hashem your God, we say B'chol Levavcha, with all of your heart, and it uses two vases, not B'chol Libcha, but Levavcha with two bases. And as it's brought in the Gemara, why does it say two bases? Referring to both of your inclinations, both of your souls, your animal soul and your godly soul. So, as we're going to continue to discuss tomorrow, this process of iskafia and ishapcha plays out in our prayer. That's when we're like really putting in that effort. Prayer is called avoda, service of God, which was in place of the avoda of the korbanot. the service in the temple. And this conversation and this reining in that we need throughout our whole day happens in like a small, not in a small, but in like a, I always forget this word. There's a word. Like if you get a sample size of people that are going to then represent everything else. Anyway, I'm forgetting the English word for it. But you know what I'm saying? That it happens not in a small way, but in a condensed way during our davening. That conversation with our animal soul that's necessary to tame it and transform it. That effort that the animal soul needs to kind of put in to be able to be in line with what God wants is happening every day in our prayer. And the more that we do that correctly in our prayer, the more that will then play out throughout the rest of our day as well. And this happen the peak of our prayer is the Shema, where we've done the effort beforehand to the point that we get to the Shema and we're like, okay, we now have both of our animal and godly soul on board. So tomorrow what we're going to discuss is how can we get to the point that when we say, we cover our eyes and we say, God, there's only you. Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. There's only one God, there's nothing else. And then we go via Haftat Hashem Elokecha. I love God. And not only does my godly soul love God, my animal soul loves God. My animal soul has a relationship with God. How are we possibly supposed to get to that place? That's what we're going to discuss. We're going to get like a bit of a meditation where we say in the process right before Shema in the davening that allows our animal soul to actually get on board in the service of God. So that we will continue with tomorrow. But is iskafia and ishapcha, are they terms now that you're like, good, I got it? Yeah? Okay, yeah. So then I did my job for today.
So the Benoni is someone who already is at this level that they're always able to do iskafia and they don't, and is it still like a struggle for them?
Yes. A Benoni is a master at iskafia.
A master at it.
A master at it,
So
but he doesn't have his hapcha, which means it's still a struggle. Iskafia means that the horse still wants to run free and you're pulling it back, but the horse still wants to go.
So when you say
I think she's just finishing the question.
But so like someone who's a Benoni might still have a desire to sin.
Not might, does. Yes. A Benoni is somebody who wants what we all want, which is, who has an animal soul that is active, so who's worried and who's scared and who's distracted and who's selfish and short-sighted and like, you know, he wakes up with that regular normal feeling of the animal soul and then he just doesn't give into it. Ever. Again and again and again and again.
Never. So someone who never sins, but they might have
someone who never sins but always wants to. Yes.
Okay.
And that's what the altar of it says in Tanya is Ki Karov Alecha Hadavar Ma'od, this thing that is very close to you. Serving God fully, wholly in every moment is close, is possible. And that is because we're not expected to not want the things that the animal soul wants. We're not expected to not have an animal within us. We're expected to not give into it. And that's really what the whole journey of the Tanya is about. So Chana had a question. Yeah.
So my understanding of the Shema is like you're saying like listen Israel, and Israel means one who struggles and wrestles with Hashem. And so if you are no longer struggling and wrestling, are you part of Bnei Israel?
It's so interesting because true, Yisrael means sarkel, and it's brought this idea of there's different explanations for Yisrael. And there's some who say he who struggles with God, but it also means Yisrael, sar, master, kel of God, and it's actually someone who's mastered this idea. There's two names for the Jewish people. Jacob. Yisrael is the name for Jacob, but what's Jacob? Yaakov. Yaakov means the heel, and it's actually Yaakov means the heel because he came out holding on to his twin brother's foot when he came out. He came out second. He wanted to come out first, and then his brother pushed him, and so he came out holding the heel. So he's not named Yaakov, and then later he got the name Yisrael.
What is the word for heel in Hebrew?
Akev, ayin kaf vez. So Yaakov is So the idea is that actually there's two terms that we can refer to the Jewish people. Yaakov is referring to the lower level where we have this inclination to sin. Yisrael is actually referring to the higher level where we become masters over ourselves. And the Shema is referring to that ultimate level. The Baruch Shem, and we're going to talk about this actually. We're going to talk about the different levels of the Shema. Even I think tomorrow. So we're going to talk about the difference between the Shema and the Baruch Shem, and then where we're holding each one, why we cover our eyes. So that will remain for tomorrow. And then you had a question?
Oh, I just wanted to, like, for you to remind me how you say both terms.
Sure. It's
And
kafia.
How you would say it with the Israeli pronunciation.
Well, I guess we'll do the top. It's kafia. It's kafia and it's hapcha.
Okay.
No, the soft would just become a
Aramaic,
top.
it's not
Oh, it's
Hebrew.
Aramaic.
Right, it's Aramaic.
Oh, okay.
But in the accent, the soft would become the top. Yeah, it's kafia and it's hapcha. And
I never remember the word.
the words.
I always remember the ideas, but I can't.
So my dream is really to create, and I told myself for next year I'm going to do this, a glossary of all the terms we're
Yeah.
going to learn for the whole year.
I was just
For
looking
the whole
back.
year.
This is my notebook when I came and visited for a day,
Yeah.
and for the beginning of the year, and when I came and visited for the day, and he went over like all the basic things, and I was like, whoa, I wrote this all down.
Oh, you're saying that you have it written down from when you came for the one day.
Yeah,
Was that the Seder Hishtalshalut class I did, like the intro?
I think it might have.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. And that's the struggle that I have with that. People come and go throughout the year, which I think is incredible. And I can't keep doing the same introduction every time. So the one thing that I wanted to do was record that and maybe actually give it as an introduction, like for everyone who comes in, be like, these are the recordings. If you want to just like get a bit of a basic sense of what's going on here. Yeah. Yes, the full worlds. I think I have it recorded. Yeah, if you'd like it. If you'd like it, just you can send me a text, and I can send it to you. I need to ask. I think Tali is the one who has it because she was recording.
But all the
yeah.
recordings should be posted on.
They should also be posted on the Spotify.
Or the SoundCloud for Mayanot.
Yeah.
So we recording?
Today not because we didn't really.
Yes.
Yes.
I recorded the second half.
Okay.